is Pondering Pixar, completing the shelf's review of the top 10 Pixar movies. And now, your hosts, Alex and Chris.
Welcome back to the Completing the Shelf channel here on YouTube for another wonderful episode of Pondering Pixar with your pondering pair of podcast perennial peoples. He's Chris, I'm Alex. We're back for another week of Pondering Pixar. And this week, appropriately, we've finally gotten ourselves some time to see 14 years in the making, Incredibles 2. Yes, finally. We didn't know we needed 14 years between sequels, but I don't know if they did this for your showing in the theaters, but for me, they're like, it takes time to make a movie so great. We really appreciate your patience. They literally had, like...
Yes, I saw that, too.
Sam Jackson, Holly Hunter, and they just came on, and they were just like, sorry it took so long.
But you know what? I kind of respect that, because most movie studios...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, now you see me. That made some money. Let's make another one real quick. But they don't have time for the idea to fester and become something necessary for the artists. So, absolutely. Yeah, this was... Absolutely. I don't mind the wait.
Yep, quality over quantity. I think that's another great thing about these Pixar films is that there is a bit more of the quality over quantity aspect to when they're made. But like I said, 14 years later, we now have a sequel to Incredibles 2, seeing our favorite supers in action.
What's interesting is, I think I read somewhere that when Pixar was first created, all the bigwigs had a lunch where they just spit out like a dozen ideas. And they said they're just starting to wrap up with all those initial ideas for movies, which is kind of amazing. Like, they're taking their time. They didn't just pump them out real quick.
Yeah, so we're very, very happy that they chose quality over quantity. Released officially June 15th, 2018 here within the US of A. A $200 million budget, which I don't know why we even think about that as an issue, because it's so far grossed over $328 million a week after it's been released. The largest animated movie opening ever.
Bye-bye, Frozen.
Let it go. Truly, everyone, let it go. Generally, more than rousing positive reviews, I feel like, for the film. I don't know. I haven't certainly read any reviews that say otherwise on Rotten Tomatoes or elsewhere. But those folks, well, we just will discount their opinions a little bit more because maybe they didn't get hugged as a child. I don't know. Or didn't get hugged enough as a child. 94% on the Rotten Tomatoes, 195 out of 207 certified fresh reviews, 12 rotten. So throw tomatoes at those 12 people.
And you know, that score doesn't land it in the top 10 of Pixar.
Which is crazy.
I
I
know.
if you look at the Rotten Tomatoes numbers, which we will outline and give you more information on, sort of a lovely graphic momentarily. The original Incredibles got a 97. Mm-hmm. And this 94 would have placed this at like 13th in the overall rankings or something, or tied for 12th, I think, with another sequel, which was Finding Dory. So,
which is a great movie there too.
It's a fit. Oh, gosh. We're nitpicking about movies that are in the top 10% of its reviewing score within Rotten Tomatoes. So just kind of, again, quality over quantity. The quality of Craig T. Nelson, Holly Hunter, Sam Jackson, Brad Bird directing, and writing.
Michael Giacchino.
Michael Giacchino on the soundtrack, and bringing back the one and only Edna Mode.
So let's theorize. Why is this lower score? Why is Finding Dory lower? Why is Monsters U lower? I find all those films to be very good.
I think those are things that we will certainly cover in future discussions. But let's talk about why there was this film, what the story is, and what's a happening.
All right.
What the buzz? Tell me what is happening. So the Parr has the family Parr, as I guess I'll call them, which really is a terrible name to because they're not average. Parr is a golf term meaning.
Oh, maybe that's some irony in the film. They just named them Parr. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Trying to be average, right? The fact remains that being heroes is still illegal in Municiberg, which is a genius name for a town, by the way.
Oh yeah.
They are arrested after unsuccessfully trying to stop a crime by a really, really cardboard villain by the name of Underminer, but he's not the villain of the story.
He's so fun though.
He really is.
And I think he's related to our trivia question coming up later.
Oh, yes. The answer to last week's trivia question. Yes. Anyway. But that's not here nor there. That is in a later segment of the show. What I was going to say was that while they were unsuccessful with that plot, they were somehow released by the police despite performing illegal deeds in their city. The heroes of the day to get them out of jail were a brother-sister team, Winston and Evelyn Dever, voiced by the comedic Bob Odenkirk, who you better call.
Haha.
You can fill in the blank, and Miss Catherine Keener. Catherine Keener, you may know her as, well, the lovable Trish from 40-Year-Old Virgin, and Missy Armitage from Get Out, amongst other great roles. Yeah, she's you'll see her face and you're like, oh, she was that lady, and then you realize, oh, she has a name. That's kind of where she goes. She was also on an episode of Seinfeld back in '92.
Which one?
But wasn't everyone? I believe it was the sister. I think it's the one where, oh gosh, no, it's not the sister. She was with the one with the letter. And yada, 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 but...
Oh, okay.
Yep, yada, yada, yada. Jerry has a new artist friend. Elaine refuses to take off her Orioles cap at a Yankees game.
Oh, yeah.
George, forced to buy a painting, plagiarizes a letter. It's just one of those episodes about nothing, you know.
Yeah, I have to point everyone back to an episode in season 1 of Completing the Shelf where my brother and I do a deep discussion of Seinfeld. It was so fun to really break that series down and find out what it's all about, because it is about something. But anyway, back to The Incredibles 2.
So the Dever siblings of the company that they got from their parents, DevTech, were pretty much back in the day the biggest lobbyists for supers across the world. So what they've done after this debacle at Town Hall, they've asked Elastigirl, Mr. Incredible, and Frozone to stop by DevTech headquarters, where they're pretty much going to go on a PR campaign of being super while saying super is good.
To get the law changed.
Yeah, so they can lobby
to restore
have
public
supers,
faith in supers.
instead of just pointing the fingers like, you're a weirdo. Which is pretty much all of the plots of X-Men.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mr. Incredible has now found himself Mr. Mom, because Elastigirl is the best and shining example of damage control for liability's sake, for corporate reasons. And he has to deal with, of course, finding out that not only does his wife do an incredible job, pun intended, of taking care of the family, but that his baby son has powers. Oh my god, that's still one of the best parts.
And he's a polymorph, meaning
So
his powers
cool.
are random and endless.
What a lucky
One of the... Yeah, okay, we'll talk about that more in things that we like, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So during Elastigirl's fun new gig, she gets to deal with a supervillain of her own in Screenslaver. He is controlling the minds, but probably not the hearts of the peoples. He is enslaving with his mind control abilities, which has given Elastigirl a lot of things to do and mysteries to solve. But in the end, it is the Parr family coming together with friends to stop the evil villains and reveal that the villain is not indeed the supers, but who you would least expect in one of the Dever siblings. Because, well, there's a misunderstanding between the two siblings. Winston really loved his dad's spirit of wanting to keep supers in the spotlight, that boyish belief that supers can save the day. Sadly, Sister Evelyn always was the more realistic of the two and believed that things could have been saved through the regular law enforcement world, and was very, very jealous of supers, I guess.
And her father's reliant on supers caused him to not call law enforcement, which led to his death. And so, it was interesting that Winston conflates the time of the supers as the time of his father being alive. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of cool.
I agree.
In the end, what happens?
In the end, you see there was a fight and evil goggles and a boat, and
the kids have to save the day.
Yeah, they did. Violet, Dash, and Jack, all thanks to the wonderful Incredimobile, which is a fantastic car. I want one. I want that.
Me too.
Now, because it's remote controlled and it's got like rocket launchers.
It's got rocket launchers.
It's got rocket launchers. Shoot the rocket launchers.
Voice activated.
Oh yeah. Oh, and it's a boat. That's right. And it also has ejector seats. It's all the Bond cars rolled into one. It's wonderful.
And the Batmobile.
And
the 60s Batmobile.
The Batmobile, yes. All of the wonderful superhero cars, except for Knight Rider, rolled into one. I don't remember it talking back, because if it talked back, that would be fun.
If I want any car that has George Feeney's voice coming out of it, I'm good with.
Feeny.
Anyway, so they avert a boat from crashing into the city with all these politicians inside of it and all these other supers that are mind controlled.
Correct.
They save the day, and supers are back.
Hooray! What did we like about this movie? Great segue.
Yeah.
Real just blunt and in your face. What did we like? I certainly liked how Jack was one of the most entertaining heroes of the entire story.
One word. Raccoon.
Yes.
Now imagine a Disney, Pixar, Marvel crossover. Rocket Raccoon versus Jack.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
I want it.
That would be the most violent, exciting, fun, and cute battle of all time.
It really would.
I mean, there needs to be, Super Smash Brothers for Nintendo.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me started about Super
Smash Brothers Ultimate due out December 7th.
Oh, man.
Around that time.
Merry
Remember, everyone.
Christmas.
Hey, Danielle.
Hanukkah.
But,
Merry Kwanzaa and a Festivus for the rest of us. Yes, that's on all of our lists. We know.
Yes, I want to see that game around that metal pole. Man, we're on a Seinfeld reference kick.
That's not a bad thing.
It's awesome. It only makes the show better. But, yeah, I want a Super Smash Brothers type game for Disney. All the characters, battling it out would be awesome.
Yes, however, there's not a lot of storytelling that goes with Super Smash Bros.
That doesn't matter.
Extent, and that doesn't fit into the Disney mold of wanting to tell a story. That's why the Kingdom Hearts games exist, and that's why,
I get it, but it satisfies the childhood. Well, could Spider-Man beat Superman? That desire of mashing up everything.
Marvel
you
versus
love.
DC. Yeah, I know. That's true.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the plot. Jack. What did you like about his powers? What were your favorite powers that he had?
I think my favorite Jack power was his ability to just fall through walls, in the lack of better words, to bend that sort of the matters around him so he can just go through walls. One of my favorite scenes is him doing so. I think he ends up farting and he goes and pretty much lifts off because of that, and his trajectory ends up putting him through the wall into Violet's room, where he turns into Monster Jack Jack, and Violet freaks out, and it's wonderful. We're not getting too much away in case you haven't seen it.
I mean, we're gonna spoil. We spoiled the movie already, so
we gave plot details away. I'm not saying spoiling would be the truly proper word, but gave a lot of plot details. Spoiling means it was like, oh, well, that's not very good. That's how I think of spoiled, because when I look in the fridge and there's spoiled milk, I get sad.
But the definition of spoil, as used for pop culture, is you spoiled the experience of experiencing it afresh.
FOMO.
Right?
Yeah, FOMO.
So
I get it. True. FOMO.
I'm definitely going to have to spoil some details to talk about what I like. But Jack Jack, I also like his power of entering alternate dimensions and still talk and hear. That's very creepy. And
his baby jibber jabbers. So
yeah, absolutely. Who knows? Maybe he goes to the Monsters Inc. dimension. That's pretty cool. That'd be a cool crossover.
But remember, they're making us laugh now, not scare.
That's right. And he's always laughing. Like he's a power.
He's gonna get that power to 11 for real quick over there. That's very true. Very, very true.
I love his ability to catch on fire, and then how Edna designs his suit to put him out with like this like gooey stuff that tastes good you can eat. Finally, I love how Robert Parr holds him like a gun and says pew 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 as his eyes shoot lasers. And like the pew 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 part is necessary because that happens later in the film. It's like it's signaling Jack Jack to do it. Awesome.
Oh, it's I think another great Jack Jack power that I really, really liked personally was the multiplying Jack Jacks.
Yes.
Holy poop. That is amazing. But think about all the diapers you'll have to clean about that. That's counterproductive.
Yeah. And are they just illusions of him, or are they literal clones of him?
I think they were clones of him because they each had powers, I felt like, when they were in Edna's little testing
What an
chamber.
army.
Oh.
Yeah.
Super powerful.
And I can just imagine that while I'm watching the film, like, oh my gosh, what if Caitlin could do all this? We would all be dead because a kid misbehaves, right? They get angry sometimes.
Yes.
And she's in this phase of defiance. And
Your
she
daughter?
lowers her brow. Yeah, she lowers her brow and looks at us with this evil gaze and does exactly what we tell her not to do.
Now, who taught her that?
Original sin.
That wasn't you.
You don't have to teach humans to be bad. We have it in us.
I guess, yeah.
So that was scary, and I connected with that in the film. But should we move on from Jack Jack? We could do another 10 minutes on Jack Jack.
I think we could, but I think going out of Jack Jack, another thing that I liked was the struggles of dadhood for Mr. Incredible, and he's trying to do everything right as he knows it with Dash's math, Violet and the boyfriend thing, but unfortunately wiping the boyfriend's mind because, oh no, her mask was off. And then trying to fix that mess, and then not having Jack Jack die or anything like that, but realizing Jack Jack has powers. But then Violet realizing that he's just trying to do the best he can, and she's certainly happy that he's trying to do the best he can, but realizing that I'm not perfect, I can't do it, yada yada yada. I think that moment of tenderness is wonderful.
It is a high moment in the film. I was annoyed with him a little bit because he was so jealous of Elastigirl, and it seemed amped up too much.
Yeah.
When he's like holding back the cringe on the phone and stuff. But the moments where he's developing as a father and becoming incredible by becoming vulnerable.
Right.
I found that awesome. And, you know, the thing that I love about Mr. Incredible is he is so passionate. All of his passion went to superheroing. But now when he's stuck at home, his passion pours into his kids.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
He doesn't do it all right, but there's moments of exhaustion where he's revealing to Violet of his inadequacies, and his moment of excitement with Jack. That's awesome. And then as a teacher, I loved that he's got up late at night to study math so he could teach his kid math.
Do the right thing.
Ah, that was great. More parents need to do that kind of thing, although that stuff is hard. For sure.
I'll take the 17-hour nap, by the way. I'll definitely enjoy one of those. That would be wonderful. But I think that's what we liked, and with that in mind...
Well, can we... I mean, anything else that I like before we go to shelf this thing? I loved more Frozone, for sure.
Yes.
I love the girl with the portal hopping.
Oh, Void was fun. I liked Void, but her like sort of I think what kind of we'll get to that in a minute.
I didn't care for her, but her power was cool.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
There we go.
Let's
Well
see.
said.
Anything else? Anything? Oh, Elastigirl. We didn't even talk about kind of the star of the film.
Hello.
I mean, Mr. Incredible, he's strong. Cool. He can do some cool things. She is amazing, and they're so inventive with how they use her power set. The motorcycle chase scene.
So flexible. Ha.
Yeah, but like how the bike breaks apart, and then she can loop and jump and then become a parachute. And gosh, I loved watching every moment with Elastigirl doing stuff and Jack. They're the best choreographed action pieces of the film. Okay, I think I got it all out of me.
There you go. Very cool.
Oh, Bob Odenkirk, he's awesome.
Yes, as Winston Dever, he was very cool. Definitely loved his role. And before we place this on a shelf, let's answer last week's trivia question. Last week, we had reviewed another wonderful Pixar film. We had reviewed Monsters Incorporated. And in that film, we have now kind of laid out the structure that in every Pixar film there is one man, and that was our trivia question, there is one man who kind of makes his way into every single Pixar film that ever existed. Now, Chris, remind our viewers. You wrote down the question, didn't you?
I did not.
Oh.
But the question is, who does John
Ratzenberger, yes, very good.
Ratzenberger play
Who
in
does
Monsters,
he
Inc.?
play in Monsters Incorporated? Well, in a fairly lovable scene where, unfortunately, our heroes get marooned on the North Pole, they meet the one and only Yeti. And John Ratzenberger is the voice of the Yeti. Sully, of course, and Mike are stranded up there in the North Pole with this Yeti, who is also another scary creature from childhood fears. There's no such thing as a Yeti, but he's a lovable, fluffy guy, kind of like Sully in a way. Making snow cones, trying to cheer up the guys. Kind of cool.
And I love how when monsters are exiled from the monster universe, they are exiled to Earth and become part of our folklore and our legends. So, like, what is the Loch Ness Monster, an exile?
Right.
Are alien sightings really actually monsters from this universe? I love that world building. They don't do much with it, but there's so much there. Yeah.
No, we talked about Bigfoot being banished, but yes. John Ratzenberger, who we alluded to a moment ago, makes a cameo in this film. We will ask you to see the film, and if you can identify who he is in the film, please leave the answer in the comments below.
And the hint is, though, he plays the same character in the first Incredibles as well.
Aha!
So his role continues between both films. So
thankfully, like his
think
other
of that.
continuations in other films. But hey, there we go.
Oh,
yes.
Are you ready to shelf it?
Oh yeah, let's put this on a shelf. For me, I will place this film on. See, this is weird.
It's hard.
It's a recency bias because I may have seen it within the last 24 hours.
Yeah, I've had a couple days.
you've allowed it to marinate a couple days. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
For me, this was better than the original. I'm giving it a top shelf.
Okay.
I'm giving it a top shelf because I, as I've now aged a little bit more, and 14 years of comedy has entered into my brain since then. Well, at least 14 years worth of absorbing comedy from around the comedy landscape, and life dramas from around the life landscape have entered in. Gives me so much more greater appreciation for the film as a whole. But it's teetering at the very end of the top shelf, I will admit. Because when I saw the screenslaver, I'm like, oh, one of the Devers is behind this. But I didn't let that take away from the experience for me. I still thought, well, duh, there's a reason they've got all this PR campaign going on. Someone is creating all these bad things happening. No one is just going to... I feel like there was not as many villainous things going on in Incredibles 1 that were kind of masterminded by somebody else. Buddy was just upset and angry and trying to make himself the hero, but by doing so made himself the villain.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, like, Buddy, or Syndrome, what his goal was to create a problem that only he could solve.
Right.
And I thought, just like you, Screenslaver is Bob Odenkirk, maybe. And he's creating a villain to bring a need back to the public for supers, like Elastigirl. Of course, that's not actually what happened.
No.
But that was the thought there, that parallel there.
Correct. So, yeah, again, top shelf for me, Alex gives it a 1. Chris.
It's a second shelf.
That's fair.
And, when I walked out of the theater, top shelf. But then, the narrating process. I think the first film, though I put on the second shelf too, is more of a tight, standalone story. And has a kernel of universality to it. Anyone can really relate to it.
Correct.
Of course, the animation is better in this. The action is richer. There is more action. There's more supers. It's a lot more fun.
Yes.
Another thing I love is the initial fight with the Underminer and how the family's powers work together. It's like the Avengers type stuff. Really fun.
Oh, yeah.
But I think the story isn't as classic. It is speaking to our moment that the villain is disrupting the minds of people through the screens that they use, right? That's speaking directly to our oversaturated, media landscape. I think the villain complains about how people don't want reality. They want reality TV. They don't want this. They want that. We're substituting the real good thing for the simulation.
Correct.
And supers are a simulation according to the bad guy. They're a simulation or a perversion of real life, reality. And so that's why she wants supers to fail and become bad guys to society, so society gets rid of them. Will that produce society to drop screens? I don't think that will happen based on her strategy.
Because nobody has superpowers.
Yeah, I'm talking about in that universe, right?
Oh,
like in
there.
that universe, if the good guys are seen as bad guys, how does that lead to the public of distrusting screens and returning to quote unquote reality? Like, she's the ultimate Thoreau. She wants people to go live in a log cabin by a lake. So her plan, I think, has some holes in it. It's really interesting. There's commentary on our overindulgence with technology and screens.
Yes,
but beyond that, I think it's not the best bad guy. Syndrome was a lot more fun because he was poking fun at bad guys by calling out, "Oh, you caught me monologuing." So it was playing on the superhero tropes. This just seemed like the next episode of Incredibles.
It did. It really did.
It was fun. It was great. It was hilarious, beautiful looking, but not as classic, I guess. Not as enduring, perhaps, as the first
Almost
one.
2-hour episode, but yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah.
Kind of just looking back, just kind of thinking really fast about another thing that I really liked, just for 1 second. The battle in Screenslaver's apartment with oh my god, the visual just pornography that we got with the swirling light LED cage and the lights and shadows that was casting. Oh my gosh, I geeked out. It was wonderful.
Well, that casted a negative light on the film because it caused some people to struggle with seizures and stuff.
No, that makes sense. I understand where that could be a humongous drawback, but for those of us...
I've never had a problem with that, but my head hurt after those scenes. I was ready for those scenes to be over, despite loving the action. The flashing screen bothered me.
I get both sides of that coin, but for me, who was not affected or fazed by that, I truly loved the visual dazzle that came out of that scene, despite how it could be tormenting others terribly. Maybe I get some joy out of others' pain. I'm terrible like that.
And it didn't torment me. It just made me. I got a little bit of a headache, and I was relieved when it was not on the forefront. But yeah, it was a great fight sequence.
Very good, very good. So, we've placed this on our shelves. Where do you place this on yours? Leave your comments and criticisms and feedbacks and support in the comments section below. Subscribe, like, share. You can, of course, watch again and again and again. Share, as mentioned, on our social medias.
And for how YouTube works, if you comment and like and share, that helps promote our channel and get us more views, which is fun because we want to share our love of Pixar as we ponder it with everyone.
Correct. So, Chris, will you send us and ride us off into the sunset?
Yeah, you can also reach us on Twitter at Alex_Salvo.
Correct.
And me at ShelfNerds. We
Yes.
love to hear from you. This show and this channel is only made better when you're participating and we get your thoughts on the show. So, join in. But until then, we're going to continue pondering Pixar.